Anna sank back into the couch, her mind racing. The charming, funny man from the bar seemed to have vanished, replaced by someone else. Someone who made her skin crawl. In the kitchen, she could hear Mark opening drawers, presumably looking for a corkscrew. Anna stood up, smoothing down her dress. "I'll show you where the corkscrew is," she called out, walking towards the kitchen. As she entered, Mark turned, a smile on his face. "Found it," he said, holding up the corkscrew. "Why don't you head back to the living room? I'll bring the drinks in a moment. Don't keep me waiting too long," she said with a playful smile, before heading back to the living room. Mark dropped a small tablet in one of the glasses as he poured the wine. He then returned shortly after, a glass of wine in each hand. His smile was back in place, charming and disarming. "Here we go," he said, handing her a glass. A peace offering. As Mark set down the wine glasses, he casually picked up Anna's phone from the coffee table. "Let me just move this out of the way," he said with a smile, placing it on a side table just out of Anna's reach. She felt a flicker of unease as she realized Mark was now between her and her phone, but she quickly dismissed the thought. Everything was going to be okay. She had this. Anna took the glass, managing a small smile. "Thanks." Mark clinked his glass against hers. "To new beginnings," he said, his eyes never leaving hers as he took a long sip. Anna raised the glass to her lips, pretending to sip. She watched Mark over the rim of her glass, her heart pounding. "Is something wrong?" Mark asked, noticing her hesitation. Anna shook her head, forcing a smile. "No, just..." Savoring the moment, Mark's smile widened. He took another, longer sip of his wine. "You know," he said, his voice growing husky, "I've been thinking about this all night." He leaned in closer, his large frame looming over Anna. She felt her heart rate pick up, but not from fear this time. "Yeah, I know. You used that line already," she replied, her voice barely above a whisper. Mark chuckled, his breath warm against her cheek. "Did I? Well, it's true. You're intoxicating, Anna." His hand reached out, fingers trailing along her arm. Anna suppressed a shudder, not entirely sure if it was from revulsion or anticipation. "Almost like a drug?" she asked. "Tell me," Mark murmured. "What are you thinking right now?" Anna met his gaze, her eyes unreadable. "I'm thinking that this night isn't going quite how you planned." Mark's brow furrowed slightly, confusion flickering across his face. "What do you mean?" "Oh, nothing," Anna said, her voice taking on an almost playful tone. "Just that things aren't always what they seem." Mark laughed, but it sounded slightly forced. "You're a mystery, Anna." "I like that." He leaned in, his lips inches from hers. "How about we solve that mystery together?" As Mark moved to close the distance, his hand came up to cup her cheek. But suddenly, he seemed unsteady. His brow furrowed deeper, confusion evident in his eyes. I feel strange," he mumbled, his words beginning to slur. What's happening?" Anna watched him carefully, her expression neutral. "Are you all right, Mark? Perhaps you've had too much to drink." Mark shook his head, trying to clear it. "No, this is different. I can't." His words trailed off as his eyes began to lose focus. He swayed on his feet, reaching out to steady himself on the coffee table. "Anna," he slurred, panic creeping into his voice. What's going on?" His legs giving way beneath him. Mark crashed to the floor, the wine glass shattering as it fell from his limp hand. He lay there, unconscious, as Anna stood over him. For a moment, Anna remained still, her heart pounding in her chest. Then, slowly, a smile spread across her face. She set her own untouched glass of wine on the table. "Oh, Mark," she said softly, her voice steady and cold. "You really should have been more careful about what you drink. Somebody might slip something into it." Anna stood there watching Mark's unconscious form, her expression cold and calculated. She glanced at the closed door where muffled whines could be heard. "Patience, babies," she murmured. "Dinner will be ready soon." Hours later, Mark stirred, his eyes fluttering open. He tried to move, only to find himself naked and securely bound to a stainless steel kitchen table. Panic flooded his features as he took in the surroundings of a windowless basement kitchen. What's going on?" Mark slurred, his tongue still thick from the drug. He blinked rapidly, trying to focus on his surroundings. Anna stepped into his field of vision, her expression eerily calm as she pulled her hair back into a ponytail. "Hello, Mark. Sleep well?" Mark's eyes widened in recognition and fear. "Anna, what is this? Some kind of joke?" "No joke, Mark," Anna replied, her voice steady. "This is justice." "Justice? What are you talking about?" Mark struggled against his bonds. "Let me go. This is kidnapping." Anna stepped closer, looking down on him. "Tell me, Mark, how many women have you drugged? How many lives have you ruined?" The color drained from Mark's face. I don't know what you're talking about. Is this about the drink?" "Look, I'm sorry if I crossed a line, but this is insane." "Don't lie to me," Anna said, her voice taking on a dangerous edge. "I've been tracking you for months. I know about Jessica, about Allison, about all of them." Mark's facade crumbled. How? How did you know? Have you been stalking me?" "I have my ways," Anna replied. "What matters is that it stops now." "Look," Mark said, desperation creeping into his voice. "I admit it, okay? I've made mistakes. Terrible mistakes. But I can change. I'll turn myself in, get help. Just please let me go." Anna laughed, but there was no humor in it. "That's not how this works, Mark. You've had your chances. Now it's time to face the consequences." "You're insane," Mark spat. "You can't do this. It's murder. You're a psycho." "Murder?" Anna raised an eyebrow. "No, Mark. This isn't murder. This is prevention. I'm making sure you never hurt another woman again." She pulled a cooking apron over her head and then secured it around her waist. "You see, Mark, I'm not a murderer. I'm a protector. A guardian. What I do to save others." "What the hell?" Mark snarled, fear and anger roaring in his voice. "You think you're some kind of hero? You're just another psychopath with a god complex." Anna turned, fixing him with a cold stare, wrestling on a pair of tight-fitting vinyl gloves. "That's where you're wrong, Mark. I don't do this for pleasure or power. I do it because someone has to. Because the system failed those women, and I won't let it fail again." "The system?" Mark scoffed. "And what about due process? What about rehabilitation? You're taking away any chance I have to make amends, to become better." "Amends?" Anna's voice dripped with contempt. "Tell that to all the women that wake up screaming every night, to the women who can't trust anyone anymore. Tell that to Allison." "Oh, wait, you can't. She killed herself last month. That's how you got on my radar. She was my sister. Your amends won't bring her back." She produced a boning knife and a thick rubber band. What are you going to do?" His voice trembled. "Please, Anna, I'm begging you. I have a family, a little sister. What will this do to them?" Anna hesitated for a moment, a flicker of doubt crossing her face. "How dare you bring up your sister? You should have thought about her before you drugged and hurt all those women. They had families too." "I know," Mark said, his voice breaking, "and I hate myself for it. Every day. But this isn't justice. This is vengeance. And it won't heal anyone." Anna picked up the band and applied it to his genitalia. "Maybe not, but it will protect future victims. Sometimes, that's the best we can do." "Or maybe," Mark pleaded, "you'll just be creating another victim. Another cycle of pain. Is that really what you want?" Anna hesitated. "What I want is for women to be safe. For monsters like you to face real consequences. Then turn me in, Mark urged. Let me face those consequences legally. Let me be an example of the system working, not failing. Anna stood, torn between her mission and the weight of what she was about to do. Grabbing the knife as it glinted in the dim light, a symbol of the fine line between justice and cruelty, protection and persecution. As she approached, Mark began to thrash wildly on the table. No, please, I'll do anything. I know you would, Anna said softly. That's the problem. Anna leaned in close, her voice barely above a whisper. This is for Allison and all the others whose names I'll never know. Mark jerked and screamed as Anna went to work on him. You know, the more you move, the messier this is going to be. Mark laid there groaning and grinding his teeth tight, trying to bear the pain. Then he heard what sounded like 2 pieces of firm, wet meat landing in a stainless steel bowl. Anna backed up from the table to observe her handiwork. There, that wasn't so hard. I think I'm getting really good at this. Mark, pale and shaking, stared at her with a mixture of pain and disbelief. Why? He managed to croak out. Anna's voice was cold as she applied a bandage to the wound. Because someone had to stop you, Mark. And my babies, they'll make sure nothing goes to waste. She moved towards the door, where excited whines could be heard. Opening it slightly, she tossed in a small oval piece of meat to each of her dogs. Here's an appetizer, babies. The main course will come later. Turning back to Mark, Anna's voice was devoid of emotion. You'll have time to reflect on your actions, Mark, to feel the fear and helplessness you inflicted on others. And when it's over, you'll never hurt anyone again. With that, Anna left, closing the door behind her. The muffled sounds of Mark's panic mingled with excited canine noises, fading as she walked away.